The story of Adisa and the Shadow Mother. I still remember the night the truth unraveled, as if it happened only yesterday. The moon was swollen and heavy in the sky, its silver glow casting long shadows over the village of Ijiso. It was the season of Harmattan, when the cold winds carried whispers of unseen things through the trees, and the elders sat by the fire, telling stories of spirits and the things that walked between our world and the next. But none of us knew that we were living a story of our own. Adisa was a woman unlike any other in Ijiso. She was beautiful, yes, but it was not her beauty that made her different. It was her solitude. She lived at the edge of the village, past the great baobab tree where no one dared to linger after dark. Her house was small, her compound well kept, but it always felt empty, as if the walls held secrets too heavy for anyone else to bear. Adisa had a son, a boy named Kojo, but no one ever saw the child play with others. He was always inside, hidden from the world, his voice never heard beyond the walls of that silent house. People whispered about her. Some said she had made a pact with the spirits. Others claimed her child was not hers, but had been taken from the river and given to her in a bargain she could not escape. But these were only stories, the kind that travel on the lips of those who have nothing else to do. Everything changed on the night of the festival of Ogun, the great protector. The village was alive with drums and laughter, and the men wrestled in the dust while the women sang praises to the gods. Adisa, to everyone's surprise, appeared among us. She had never joined the celebrations before. She stood at the edge of the crowd, her eyes darting like a trapped bird's. But what shocked us most was Kojo. Her son was with her. He was a small boy, no older than 7, with dark eyes that seemed to drink in the firelight. He held his mother's hand tightly, his fingers wrapped around hers like a vine clinging to a tree. As the drums beat faster, the air thick with the scent of roasted maize and palm wine, Kojo began to change. At first, it was subtle, a flicker of shadow where there should have been none. Then, before our very eyes, the boy's form began to waver, like mist in the morning sun. His fingers, still clutching his mother's hand, stretched unnaturally, and his face darkened, his features twisting in a way that no child should. The women screamed. The men grabbed their staffs. The drummers stopped playing. Kojo turned his face to his mother, and his voice, no longer the voice of a boy, but something older, something hollow, echoed through the silence. "Why did you bring me here? You know I do not belong." Adisa fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "I only wanted you to see, my son, to know the life you should have had." The elders stepped forward, their faces grim. Baba Ade, the oldest among them, raised his staff. "Adisa, what have you done?" The woman wept into her hands. "He is not mine," she whispered, "not truly." And then she told us the story, the one she had buried deep in her heart for years. Long ago, before Kojo was born, Adisa had been barren. She had tried everything, herbs, prayers, sacrifices, but her womb remained empty. Desperate, she had gone to the river, to the place where the water ran deepest, and there, under the full moon, she had begged the spirits for a child. Something answered. A woman, tall and cloaked in mist, rose from the river. Her eyes held the darkness of the deepest waters. She made Adisa an offer, a child, one she could call her own, but there was a price. "He will never be like the others," the river woman had said. "He belongs to the water. The day he is seen by many, the river will call him back." Adisa had agreed, and for 7 years she had kept him hidden, hoping, praying that the spirits had forgotten. But spirits do not forget. That night, in the center of the village, we all saw the truth of her child. Kojo was never truly human. He was a child of the river, borrowed from the world beneath the waters. And now, the river had come to collect its own. A wind, cold and unnatural, rushed through the village. Kojo turned to his mother one last time, his eyes filled with something that was not quite sadness, not quite fear. Then, like mist in the morning sun, he faded, his form dissolving into shadow. A distant splash echoed from the river, though no one had seen him move. Adisa collapsed, her cries tearing through the night like the wail of a lost soul. We buried an empty grave for Kojo, a symbol, a marker of a boy who had never truly been ours. And though life returned to the village and the drums played once more, we never spoke of that night again. Adisa remained in her house by the baobab tree, but she was never the same. Sometimes, in the still of the night, when the wind carried the scent of the river, those who dared to listen swore they could hear a boy's laughter, soft, distant, and fading with the tide.